everybody, it's Becky. I'm back today with a fun video. This is sneaky educational games that are fun, but you don't know that you're really learning in the process. And whether that be in the summertime just to keep your kids' brains working, whether it's on a trip when you're going somewhere and you want your kids to actually have something to do besides watch television or play video games, or if it's really going to be part of your, if you homeschool, if it's part of your homeschool life, or if you're a teacher and you want to have these in your classroom, just as a way to keep things fun, but also they're still learning. So I've got quite a pile over here on my bed. So the first thing I would recommend is any kind of a tango, and you can print out, you know, paper ones. You can make them out of foam. This one's really nice. I've talked about it before. This is the Tangos Junior. I got this from Amazon, and so basically it's a magnetic tray that opens up, and it's got all these cards on the inside. And they have starter, junior, and then expert. So they're all different, two-sided, kind of a laminated card that the child will put on the magnetic board on the front. And then there's a tray that slides out that's got all the pieces that are also magnetic. So this is great for the car, but it's really nice too because there's quite a few cards in here, double-sided. So once they get past the initial starter ones, they can move on to the ones that are a little bit harder. And it's just really fun, and it really helps them to work on their logic and reasoning and spatial reasoning and things like that. So that one's a really great one. And I also have one for my older daughter, and I've shown this before in a video, and this is a lot smaller, but it's magnetic as well. It's travel. It snaps open. They have a whole variety of all these ones. This one's the animal version, but they have a bunch of different ones too. Again, same thing, they're magnetic. So this part right here is magnetic, and there's all these little cards that she has to replicate whatever the picture is over here on the magnetic section. I really love that. She's had that for a couple years now, and we've really used it a lot with travel. You know, we go to Disney and just things like that. So both of those are really great, even for older kids. Just because they're older doesn't necessarily mean that they couldn't use a little bit of logic and reasoning with how to put those on there, you know, themselves. And I'll put links for all these things below. Most everything that I'm going to show you came from Amazon. I know this came from Amazon. I've showed this before. This is the chicken shuffle game, and it's really, my older daughter enjoys it the most right now. But it's got a little tray that opens up, and there's all these cards underneath that you can switch out. And so basically what you're supposed to do is kind of like Rubik's Cube almost, but not. You are supposed to move the chickens around. So each mommy chicken has to be on an egg, and so you have to move these little sliders around, and so that every chicken is on an egg. So again, it's pretty much the same thing as the tangos. It's a lot of logic and reasoning, plus it's just really fun. She's really enjoyed playing with this, and my nephew is like obsessed with chickens, so he would love something like this too. So kind of breaking out the classics would be checkers. I mean, this is just a princess version that we've had for quite a while, but checkers is really fun to teach logic and reasoning again, but also cause and effect. If I jump here, then you can jump me there. So it really helps to keep them thinking ahead of just what's initially in front of them, but thinking longer term, what's going to happen if I do this or that. So that's a good one to always have. Another classic would be Go Fish. We have a Tinkerbell version, but I mean, Go Fish is really good for children working on their numbers between 1 and 9. They really have to pay attention and ask questions, pay attention to who has what, and how many more of a certain number they need before they have a whole set and things like that. So it's really good to get them thinking about what they need in order to get the set of 4, but then also just helping with either learning their numbers or just kind of a review. So it's always a fun one to play. It's a classic. Another classic would be Jenga, and it's a good one for fine motor skills. You really have to work to make sure that you've got your hand in just the right spot to pull them out. It's a lot of cause and effect. You know, if I pull this one out, then this one's going to be too heavy on this side. It might fall over, things like that. So that's always a fun one to have around. We really like that one in our house. This is kind of off topic, but that's one reason why I like Boom Blocks for the Wii. If you haven't played that, it's a game. It's kind of like Don't Break the Ice and Jenga mixed together, because you take your Wii remote and you have to like sling these balls to knock certain things down in different ways, and it's really fun. So if you haven't played that, you should see if you could still find it. I don't know if they make it for the new Wii, but we have it for our old Wii, and we really like that one. Another kind of an obvious one would be puzzle, any kind of puzzle. We really like the ones that have sort of challenging shapes. So this one is actually heart-shaped. We've had this one for quite a while, but it's really fun. Both my girls have been really good at puzzles from such an early age because we started them so young, working on paying attention to detail and looking for certain colors, using the edge pieces, and then working towards the middle and things like that. I'm all about things that really require them to think, because that's really learning to think is a skill that a lot of people don't have. If it's not right in front of them and it's not obvious, sometimes they can't figure it out. So I really like things that challenge them to think on their own, to pay attention to details, to ask questions to get answers and things like that. So puzzles kind of fit along with that, paying attention to detail. And kind of the same thing as Guess Who. Guess Who's been around for a million trillion years. We have the electronic version, which I don't think they sell anymore. But I really love Guess Who. First of all, it's a game that I actually like to play. I don't like a lot of like Monopoly and things like that. So I really like Guess Who. It's fun because they have to ask questions. Again, they're asking questions to find out more information, and that's important for them for the rest of their life. It's really good to teach attention to detail, process of elimination, and opposites, because sometimes even I have to stop and think, okay, well, you said it doesn't have glasses, so I have to flip down all the ones that do have glasses. I mean, it's really helping to work on opposites and process of elimination, and asking those questions to get more information, which I think is vitally important for children and adults. So I love Guess Who. You can get travel versions, you can get Disney versions. I mean, I really like this one. We don't necessarily use the electronic part of it. There's a couple different ways you can play this with the electronic part of it, which we don't use. But it's just really nice. We've really enjoyed that. We played that with them since they were really young. It was one of the first things we ever did at home to really work on opposites and stuff like that. So it's really fun. Much as I hate to say it, Scrabble is kind of obvious. We have this one. You can also get Scrabble Junior. I really hate Scrabble. I hate Scrabble. I hate Monopoly. I don't play Words with Friends. I just don't like most typical board games. But I know it is really, really good and educational. It teaches vocabulary. They can add up all their own points so they can work on some math skills while they're adding up their points. And it is a family classic. And can you go away, please? I'm still recording. I'm waiting for you to leave.
Hi.
I'm gonna put that in there. We better get out of here, Gary. And classics again would be Monopoly. I mean, you can get Monopoly Junior. You can get pretty much any theme Monopoly. They have My Little Pony, and I think they have a Disney World version. So it's obvious kind of what Monopoly is all about. If you've ever played it, it's all about money and budgeting and building a community and adding up your score and things like that. If you have an older kid that wants to really do it, let them be the banker so they can really get used to like counting out money and making change and things like that. Another classic, but maybe something you hadn't thought of, was Clue. I used to love playing this when I was a kid. They also have a Clue Junior game. But it's kind of the same thing as I said about Guess Who, where you really have to ask questions to gain more information. And it is about process of elimination because, you know, if you've ever played the game, you know there's like a murder suspect, which is kind of violent. But I mean, you have to figure out who did it in what room with what weapon. And so it's really fun because you have to, like if you challenge somebody and say, hey, I said it was done by Mr. Green, and they show you that they have the Mr. Green card, then you know, okay, it's not Mr. Green. And you check that off on your list of suspects and weapons and rooms. And so they really have to ask the right questions to get more and more close to who really did it with what in what room. So it's really fun, and I always loved it growing up. My husband hates it, but I still think it's fun. So I don't know if the Clue Junior, if it is the murderer thing. I don't know, because that seems so violent now. We didn't think about it when we were kids. When you think about it now, you're kind of like, ooh, you know, but I don't know. You let me know in the comments below if you've played Clue Junior. Do they have the same scenario, or is it different for younger kids? Because that's interesting. I'd like to know that. For my youngest daughter, she has really enjoyed this super sorting pie I got from Amazon. It's a learning resources toy. And I've talked about this before, but basically you get this cute, really heavy plastic pie, and they have all these little fruits inside. If I could open it up, there's all kinds of little fruits. Whoops! And it comes with little tongs of different colors, so younger kids can really work on their grip and fine motor skills. There's a little insert right here with little lines for the pie, and so you slip these different little discs underneath those grids. And so, like in this case, you would sort all the fruit by color, and it's double-sided. This one, you would just do the actual fruit itself, not by color. This one's all by color, just colors. And then you've got numbers from 1 to 5 and 6 to 10. So, I mean, it's really fun, and she just likes playing with it. And that's another reason why I went ahead and bought it, even though I knew, like, long term, it wasn't going to be something she's going to play with for terribly long. But, I mean, it's really cute, and she has just as much fun with, like, we'll order certain flavors of pie, and she'll mix up all the different things, and then she'll be like, whoops, and drop it, and the little fruit roll all over the living room. She thinks it's hilarious. But it's just a really high quality toy that would be good for pretend play, where they play kitchen or things like that. So that is really cute, and we've really enjoyed playing with that one. Another really fun one that I've talked about before is the IQ Fit games. They have a bunch of different types of games in this brand, and I'm going to try to show you this without everything falling out. But it comes in this plastic case. My oldest daughter usually takes this on, she keeps it in the car most of the time, and so she plays with it. in the car, which is, it's fine. I mean, they're small pieces, but she hasn't lost any of them. So they come out and they're all molded together in different configurations. It comes with this little book on the inside with all these different little patterns that you have to replicate on here with the different little molded beads. And so they have like a starter level and goes all the way up to expert. So it's quite a challenge to figure out which configuration will actually fit and match based on the fact that they're all molded in different ways. So she's really enjoyed that. I did get this from Amazon, and there's a bunch of different games kind of in this same, by the same company, that don't always use the little beads. They have other ones that use like little rods and things like that. So she's really enjoyed that. But that's just logic and reasoning again. I mean, I'm all about logic and reasoning games that really teach your kids to think, because that's really important. If they can think for themselves and ask questions to learn more information, then they're really pretty much set for life. They can be self-taught as much as they want to be. And I really can't say enough about bingo. Bingo is a classic game that I don't know how long it's been around, but there's pretty much bingo for every subject you want. We have, this one is math bingo that came from the Dollar Tree. We have Disney bingo, even that one, which is just a basic bingo game, but it really teaches younger kids about graphing, so like coming down and going across. You know, you have to know the letters B-I-N-G-O and then all those different things. And so we have the Disney DVD version, we have the math bingo version, we have the United States version. So there's so many different kinds you can find that really will help to work on your kids and strengthening their skills in whatever category you want, based on the type of bingo that you play. But it's a classic. It's been around for a while, but I feel like it's also a classic. There's a new twist to it, because now you can get things like the Disney one and the bingo, the math one, and things like that. Or you can make your own. I've even seen online how you can make your own bingo games with different topics and different letters and numbers and things like that. So definitely don't overlook bingo. Another thing we really enjoyed have been these Rory story cubes. There's a couple different editions that they have. This one came from Amazon. So basically, you open it up and there's just a bunch of little dice in there that have different pictures on them, just black and white pictures. And so you roll the dice, and based on whatever picture lands up, you have to create a story based on those pictures. So it's really fun. It gets the kids thinking. We used to use it a lot in homeschool for my oldest daughter's morning work. She would use this as her writing prompt. So she would roll the dice, and whatever it popped up on, she would write a story about whatever happened, you know, based on those pictures. So she really enjoyed that. It's just a fun game. It's a good party game, even for adults. And like I said, they have a bunch of different themes. So you can get a couple sets or just one set. It's really fun. It's even something you do in the car. If you have like a little tray, you can just roll the dice in and you can go around the car and everybody makes a story. It's just a really fun, neat game. And I love stuff like this. It's like really random and things maybe you haven't just seen every day, because it really gets the kids involved. They really enjoy doing new things. And it's a new approach to thinking. And like I said, though, it's good for adults. It's good for parties. There really isn't a situation that I can't think of that would be good for this. And I have a couple things, too, that I wanted to share that I don't actually have the physical thing with me. One of them is bananagrams, which is kind of like Scrabble mixed with, it's kind of like Scrabble, but you have like loose tiles. And it's called bananagrams because it's in this little banana. But you have to see, based on the number, the tiles that you get, how many words that you can make before the other person. It's kind of like a competition. I don't have it here. My mom has it at her house, and my daughters usually play that with her when they spend the night. So that's a really fun one you should check out. It's a lot of teachers recommend that game. So that's a really great one. Also crosswords, whether your kid is able to use a big crossword book, or you can find some that are specifically for kids. I'll put some links for those down below. Or if you watched my Joanne haul video from like a couple months ago, I actually found a kids crossword book / word search. So you had to finish the crossword puzzle to find the words that you were going to be looking for in the search word. So it was like the best of both worlds. It was awesome. So maybe they still have them, I'm not sure, but you could definitely check out Joanne and see if you can find that one there. Another really great one is Mad Libs. We couldn't find ours. I don't know where it is, but we do have one. And I grew up, my brother and I, just cracking up for hours over all the things that all the funny stories that we did in Mad Libs. If you don't know what it is, it basically is a little book of pre-written stories, but there's blanks left out that'll say like insert an adjective or insert an adverb or insert a pronoun. And so just off the top of your head, you pick whatever word that you want. And then when you go back and read the story, they're usually really funny. And so it's really good for kids because it teaches them those things like pronouns and adjectives and adverbs. And even if they're a little bit older and sometimes maybe they're a little rusty with their skills as far as knowing the difference between an adverb and an adjective and things like that. It's just a really fun way to keep those skills going on in their brain, but it's just something fun to do as a family. They have all different themed ones. They have Star Wars versions and Dog Lovers versions. So it's just a really fun, classic language arts skill building book game. Another really great thing I would recommend would be any kind of origami or paper crafting. I don't have them up here with me and I don't want to have to go back downstairs and get them, but my oldest daughter really loves origami, and it's really good for her because she's able to sit down and do something creative and artistic, but she's also following instructions, written instructions. And I feel like it's important to not only follow verbal instructions, but being able to follow written instructions, because you're going to have that your whole life. And so it's really good for her to sit down, read the instructions, look at the pictures, and figure out how it's being folded to make whatever it is that you're trying to make. So that's really good for her, and she's really enjoyed that. So kind of along the same lines as origami and paper crafting is the Twirled Paper book by Klutz. And I've talked about this before too. I don't want to be like a broken record, but I feel like some people that might have watched the other video where I talked about these things might or might not see this one. But it's really neat because Klutz is a great book for kids. They have all different kinds of craft and activity books. But really, again, you're following the instructions and you're twirling these little papers around to make all these cute little animals. And she's really enjoyed this one, so I would highly, highly recommend this for kids or adults. I mean, look at the cute little stuff that you can make. Let me see. You can make butterflies and a little chickie. And what else? A bumblebee. It's really cute, all by curling paper. And so that's been really fun for her. And again, it's following instructions and, you know, using your hands, your fine motor skills to really make these different things. So she's really enjoyed that. And the last thing is the Flash Pad. This one's the older version. We've had this for a couple years, and it's really fun because it's got all these different lights and it plays all these different games. You can like have to follow a certain pattern or look for you have to, like, all of them will light up and you have to touch and figure out which one's got the bomb underneath it. My favorite is Chase Me. And it's just really fun for kids or adults. It's a great coffee table item to have out so that, you know, people can come over and play with it. And it's a really good stress reliever. It's kind of like a video game, but without the screen to be staring at all the time. And they've updated it a little bit more now. The new versions are a little bit more thin. This one's not terribly big, but it's good for travel. We still take this in the car quite a bit. But the new ones are more thin. I think it might even keep score where this one doesn't. It's just really fun. I know people use it a lot with children that have sensory issues. Depending on the issue that they have, it might or might not. They might or might not like it. But a lot of people I know have used it in autistic classrooms. So, you know, it teaches hand-eye coordination, memory, dexterity. I mean, it's just really great. It's really fun, and it's great for the whole family. So that's definitely something that maybe you should check out. And it makes a great gift too. It's a good time to start thinking about going ahead and getting the things that you know would make a great gift for even if you have a teacher in your family that might like this for their classroom, or you have a young child, a teenager, or even an adult that might enjoy to have this. It's not too early to really start thinking about Christmas gifts. I hate to say that, but it's true. So we have really loved this. So those are my suggestions for sneaky educational games and activities that you can play with your kids. Some of them they can play by themselves, and a pretty good variety of age ranges that all these different things will appeal to. So I hope that was helpful for you guys, whether it be for just your family for family game night, whether it be if you homeschool and you want to find some things that are still educational, that they're still learning, but maybe it's not sitting at a desk and doing book work. It could also be great for if you have multiple children that you're homeschooling and you need like to work specifically with one child. Some of these things that are more independent, you could have the other kids go and work on their own, or they can play a game together while you're working with the older child, and you know they're still working on different skills that they're going to need to help them, but you also they're not just sitting around like waiting for you to get done helping your other kid. Or it's great for classrooms. Like I said, the Flash Pad in particular I think would be a big hit in classrooms. Any of the paper crafting things I think would be great. So I hope you found this helpful. Please let me know if you have any suggestions down below for some things that I didn't think of. I know there's plenty of games out there that are educational, but I was just trying to think kind of outside the box with a lot of these things. So I would love to know if you have any suggestions for some sneaky educational games that you know of. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!